How easily can you beat Elden Ring as Godfrey? Godfrey is the guy your girlfriend told you not to worry about, and in this video I'm going to be taking control of him and using him to fight some of the game's most difficult bosses. The rules of this challenge are simple. We play on max new game difficulty, and this video will not end until we defeat Malenia. Before we begin, let me know which boss you guys want to see next by leaving a comment below, and don't forget to subscribe because YouTube doesn't always recommend. Godfrey can run now. That's terrifying. One of these days, the Tree Sentinel is gonna get fed up with being our test.
What are you waiting for? Tell them about Raid Shadow Legends.
This video is sponsored by Raid Shadow Legends, which is available on both mobile and PC. And thanks to their help, I can finally afford to announce the next speedrun challenge, which will be in Sekiro. With over 700 champions, Raid has recently added a new faction called the Sylvan Watchers, and they've got everything from forest elves to tree spirits to rock monsters. My personal favorite is Radahn the Runic because he kinda looks like an Erdtree avatar. Kicking off the new year, Raid has introduced the Forge Pass and 4th Anniversary Titan event, which lasts for several weeks and lets you earn anniversary points by competing in special events, where you can redeem your points for some amazing rewards. If you're a new player from the US, you can vote on your favorite champion from now until February 10th for the chance to win prizes like champions, items, and even Amazon gift cards worth up to $1,000. Raid is also doing a collaboration with Ronda Rousey, who's a professional fighter that you can get as a unit for free by logging in for 7 days between now and February 20th. New players that use my link below or the QR code on screen will receive a free starter pack, which includes $35 worth of items such as a free epic champion Jotun, 100,000 silver, 50 gems, and 2 epic skill tomes. All this treasure will be waiting for you here. Thanks again to Raid for sponsoring this video. Margit, my son. This hurts me more than it hurts you. When I did this fight last time as a Tree Sentinel, our shield came in handy big time, but when you're playing as Godfrey, you don't need a shield. Godfrey's attacks inflict an insane amount of stance damage, and as a result, the hardest thing about this fight were my feelings. What kind of father am I? Versus Godrick, the only thing holding me back was my movement speed. Why am I moving so slow? Since I can't change phases mid-fight, Godrick and I have pretty much the same HP, but when it comes to Godfrey, the best defense is a good offense. Even after going into phase 2, Godrick didn't last long at all, and that gave me the confidence to do something I have never done in one of these challenges before. Okay, I think I understand why Godfrey kills Siraj. You can't see anything. Rykard on New Game Plus 7 without the Serpent Hunter is a nightmare. I wouldn't wish this on my worst enemy. This fight would have been extremely difficult if I didn't discover one thing. Well, two things really. The first is that Godfrey can just stun lock Rykard. Like, it's ridiculous. Oh, there's the stance break. The second thing is Godfrey's dash. And this dash made navigating Rykard's second phase not impossible. Look at this movement. I'm schmoving! Well, that actually really hurts. Whoa, 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 whoa! Oh my god, I think we're gonna die here. Is this the first L? No! They're closing in! No! Okay, so the dash isn't as good as the Revenants, for example, which carried us through that playthrough, but it's still serviceable. I can make it work, and I did make it work, just not in this fight. I changed my strategy completely, and instead of trying to dodge when Rykard went into phase 2, I committed to stun locking him instead, and that worked like a charm. There it is! Let's go! If this fight ever actually happened, then Radahn would be starstruck. Radahn and Godfrey aren't evenly matched. They both hit really hard and have a ton of HP. By this point, I started to get more familiar with Godfrey's moveset, and that's when I learned how to go into phase 2. The aura around Godfrey doesn't change his stats at all, but it does give us better shockwaves. In the end, Radahn's massive size made him an easy target, and after breaking his stance a few times, he finally went down. The Draconic Sentinel usually gatekeeps these runs, but this time was different. I actually figured out how to make this axe throw work, which is incredible because I don't think I've ever seen anyone get hit by this move. After stomping on the Sentinel's head, I made my way into the capital to take on a familiar face. Goldfrey and Godfrey are pretty much identical, but there is one key difference that'll come into play later in the run. As far as this fight goes, the winner is decided by whoever can stance break the other more often, and that person was me. Morgott is an emotional fight, and these two have a lot more in common than I initially thought. Both have giant weapons capable of shredding through each other's poise, and very respectable ranged options in Morgott's daggers, lance, and Godfrey's stomp. Morgott's agility is usually a problem in these enemy playthroughs, but Godfrey makes up for that by being tankier overall. After getting a crucial stance break, this attack in particular steals the show by completely melting his HP, and then one more stomp does the trick. Before venturing into the mountaintop of the giants, I paid a visit to my other son, and you're probably wondering why I'm gold. This particular iteration of Godfrey is entirely immune to most status effects, and that includes bleed, which makes sense because he's a ghost. The only one he isn't immune to is sleep, which doesn't really make sense to me, but if you have a theory for why that is, then go ahead and leave a comment below. Mohg is actually a very formidable opponent, even for Goldfrey. In fact, he's so strong that I can't really fight him up close the entire time. The health gain he gets from his phase 2 transition is just too much to deal with, especially on max new game difficulty. Things went down to the wire in this fight, and Mohg started to adapt by flying over my shockwaves. Unfortunately for him, the damage was already done, and we make it out of this one by the skin of our teeth. The Fire Giant. Godfrey was made for this fight. Although it's a 2v1, the huge range of his axe and shockwaves mean that they're trapped in this room with me. Oh my god, I'm stomping on his head! I switched back to the original Godfrey because he has slightly more health, but after running train on these two, I was in for a very rude awakening. Maliketh is one of the hardest fights of this entire run, and you're about to see why. Even after getting stance broken several times, Maliketh is still able to get the distance he needs to become a problem. This fight is designed to punish players who run away, and I definitely ended up paying the price when I tried to use the pillars to my advantage. No, what? Look how close! Look how close that is! It was time to stop messing around. Nice. Wow, he still didn't stagger from that. Wow. Oh, that's not good. Oh, double KO! Nice! That was so close. Oh, he got us that time. See if we can get a stagger here. Nice. I can't see anything. Where's my body? Guess it doesn't matter. GG's. After those stressful fights, I decided to unwind by tossing around Gideon a bit. Since all the other bosses can't be grabbed through normal means, I made sure to use exclusively grabs on this guy. This was one of the most one-sided fights I've ever had. Gideon. Ironically, Godfrey though is the most difficult fight so far, and the reason why is twofold. For one, he has two phases, and we're stuck playing as Horah. I shouldn't say stuck though, because I am Horah, but Godfrey does have a few advantages. Don't quote me on this, but I wouldn't be surprised if his axe was better at breaking stance than our fists. I chose Horah for this fight because he has more HP overall, but that does come at a cost because while he's in this form, he loses all of the absorptions he had as Godfrey, and that meant we were playing with fire. In my rematch, I needed a way around Godfrey's range, so I entered phase 2 early for the better shockwaves. Since Godfrey was still in phase 1, his smaller shockwaves couldn't reach me, and I was able to bring out his Horah without taking much damage. By this point, my HP was way higher than his, so after landing one more combo into a low kick, I was able to finish the fight off with one final stomp. Yes! Finally! From a lore standpoint, this is a pretty awkward fight. Despite how slowly Radagon walks, I still felt like I was being outclassed in the speed department. Oh man, we're a little slow. Running in this fight is one of the worst things you can do because Radagon's magic is very overwhelming when you don't have any iframes. As I'm losing the fight, I get a very important stance break, and for what seems like an eternity, Radagon refuses to break again. This final exchange couldn't have been any closer. Oh, wow, that was insanely close. We do end up dying to the Elden Beast because of how low our health was, but when we make it back, this fight is a piece of cake. Godfrey's dash is able to avoid most of its attacks, and once we're in, we're in. Oh, there it is! He didn't even get to do the rings or Elden Stars. With the beast behind us, there was only one thing left to do. Malenia has never known defeat, and for good reason too. The fact that she recovers all of her stance within about 5.5 seconds of hitting her is essentially plot armor. The first phase is pretty straightforward. Malenia manages to land a waterfowl, and it does about 1/3 of my HP. Fortunately, her first phase doesn't have too many ranged options, so I'm able to get a ton of mileage off of the shockwaves. And about halfway through the fight, I discovered a move I had never used until now. Whoa! I should have been using that move way sooner. In phase 2, while Malenia is recovering from Scarlet Ionia, I'm able to punish her with a few more shockwaves, and after going for the big one, yes, let's go!